Well, I learned a very interesting thing. Two things that go together. The burden, for me, the greatest burden for me to overcome is the burden of relationships. And the burden of a relationship are the regrets, the resentments of a failed relationship, a relationship that never happened, that you think should have happened, or the kind of relationship that should have happened, didn't happen, whatever. The regret or resentment is, relationships in general are, or could, become a burden rather than an asset, and thus become a block to prevent us from growing into better relationships, because we're stuck with the burden, the baggage that we carry around in the prior relationship, and it doesn't seem to get any better. We just replace with another relationship that's seemingly just as bad as the last one, apparently, instead of growing into better ones. So, the solution is not to do what some people say, oh, I found Jesus. Well, I'm sorry to criticize, but that's the personal aspect of God. A personal aspect of God. And you're just replacing one personal burden with another. Lighter chain, gold, fluffy stuff, but it's still a chain. The true trick is to replace our personal burdens with the impersonal aspect of God. To depersonalize our personal blockages. The memory that we carry around of the baggage of personal relationships that block our emotional development. And our focus. Blocks our focus. All we see is the burden. We don't see. And it becomes a filter through which we have to see everything else and interpret everything else through that burden. But if we replace that memory of a failed relationship, or several, whatever, with the impersonal aspect of God, then we depersonalize that personal blockage so that it has no impact anymore on us. The memory's there, but it has no impact. So because we've depersonalized it with the impersonal aspect of God. So God has two aspects, a personal aspect and an impersonal aspect. And the impersonal aspect literally diffuses our problems, diffuses our burdens. It casts off the burdensome aspect of the memory. The memory's still there, but the burden is gone. And this is what Christ said, in no uncertain terms. So, the reason why I say this, I reached a turning point in the bath at 45 minutes. That's when the bath started to do some good. Started. The bath is such a natural method. It takes time. That's why I think the bath represents a prior yuga, probably the Treta Yuga, because it takes a lot of time. You have to spend a lot of time in the bath for it to do you any good. To even just begin to do you any good. 45 minutes. And then it starts to do you some good. When I did the enhanced biocircuitry with capacitors, interleaved capacitors, within 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, it started to do me some good. And the session would last an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe 5 hours, but it started within between 5 and 10, maybe 15 minutes, at the very most 15 minutes. Sometimes sooner, it depends. If I helped it along or did the opposite, played games with myself and tried to block it, because it was so automatic, I started playing games. So then it would take a little longer and I wouldn't get the full effect. But with the bath, it takes 45 minutes. And if you can't stay in the bath longer than 45 minutes, then A, you've either got the wrong mixture in the bath, or B, you've got the wrong mindset that you're carrying into the bath. You've got burns. And you're not willing to let go of them by staying in the bath longer than 45 minutes. So I had the right bath mixture. I just didn't have the right attitude going into it, because I had a memory of a blockage, of a personal relationship that was killing me. Literally giving me a mild stroke. Sensations and symptoms. So the mixture was right. It was a minimum of silver hydroperoxide. In fact, it was slightly less than minimum. I had to keep adding a pint at a time, a quart at a time of silver hydroperoxide. And then around 3 quarts, it was just the right amount, such that the cayenne pepper that I had, that was ultra, super hot cayenne pepper, stopped burning my scrotum surrounding my balls. For the most part. When I got out and showered, rinsed off. I didn't use any soap. I just rinsed off. Then the burning stopped completely. But the burning didn't go away right away because I had to keep adding more silver hydroperoxide because I had less than the minimum. But I had a very, very faint sprinkling of the cayenne pepper in there. So little, it's undeniably so little. But the cayenne pepper apparently diffuses the awareness, breaks it up, breaks up all the blockages, because it was taken through the skin, not through the mouth. And thus I bypassed all of my conscious sabotage tricks that would have prevented me from making use of it, but one of them was impatience. If I had gotten out of the bath at that 45-minute point in the duration of the session, I never would have gotten the benefit of the mind getting the benefit of opening up and letting go and diffusing, depersonalizing the personal blockage that I was carrying around. I've been under a lot of pressure lately, and it's really been bothering me. And it was the summer, and I wasn't making use of cayenne pepper in the bath, so that might have something to do with it. It's too bad I didn't use cloves. I could have, but it was so powerful, so potent that I had to stop using cloves. So maybe cloves is not right, or maybe it doesn't have to be used all the time, but over the winter time, my body doesn't tend to heat up very well, so I can see why over the winter I tend to use cayenne pepper in the bath with silver hydroperoxide consistently and MSM consistently. But since I'm such a cold-bodied body, I can't use cloves continually. I probably have to use like a minimum. I probably overdosed is what it is. Like cayenne pepper, I need to minimize my use of cloves. But unlike cayenne pepper, I'm not forced to. Cloves doesn't really burn. Cayenne pepper burns. So I have to learn. Just like with silver hydroperoxide, I had to learn to use the minimum, not the maximum. While with MSM, I can use the maximum if I want to, but I try to be economical, so I use an intermediate amount. Something less than maximum. But you can. MSM is very safe because I don't put any silicone rubber into the bath. That's very important when you're using poor grade 97% purity MSM, which has some remains of DMSO in it, and you don't want silicone plastic mixed with DMSO. That's lethal. Well, it'll make you very sick. It may not be lethal, but it'll get you in that direction. But I'm still using up the poor grade MSM because I can keep silicone rubber out of the bath, so I don't use my snorkel. And I have to use it up because I have to economize. I'm not abundant, overflowing with funding, so I have to use up what I have. But I learned what the nature of problems are and why I did the same thing when I fasted as a teenager. I depersonalized the personal blockages that I had carried with me since childhood. So anything I said to the psychiatrist after some years afterwards, 10 years afterwards, it just rehashed old problems. It revived. It created a fiction because I'd already wiped it out. I created an illusion for a psychiatrist to delude himself into thinking, and my mother more so than him. He did it impersonally. It was just his job. But it deluded my mother into thinking that, oh, this is real, because he's bringing it up now. I didn't bring it up earlier because I was a responsible person. I took it upon myself to solve my own problems and not blame somebody else. I took the right approach. But I failed to eat fish when I came off the fast, so I failed to stabilize all the benefits of the fast. The 2 years of fruits and vegetables, I failed. And now, I'm still a weakling. So I'm using bathing as my means of picking up where I left off with that fast and my poor sense of how to follow up after the fast or failure to follow up properly by not eating fish. So by bathing in silver hydroperoxide with cayenne pepper and MSM over the winter months, it's really helping me a lot. And then I just eat properly. You know, well, as best as I can, because I do have my bad habits, like sweets. Actually, sweets is not a bad habit. It's what it's combined with. Sugar and starch, for me, is a bad habit, see. But sugar and fish, that's not a bad habit. You know, fruit and sweets, fish and sweets, that's not a bad habit. It helps you utilize the sweets. So sweets alone is not the problem. It's what it's combined with that's the problem. So granola is not a good idea because they sweeten it. You know, it should be unsweetened oatmeal. Blah. Well, it's the way to eat the stuff. Sugared cereal is atrocious. It's garbage. Yet we do it. We all want it, right? A candy bar ain't bad because there's no starch in it. A granola bar is different. It's got the sugar in the starch, see? Like a Pop-Tart. You know? But a candy bar, that's different. That's okay. So food combining is a big deal because we literally can potentially create poison as an outcome. It's not poison to start with, but as an outcome of poor food combining and the poor digestion that could occur along with the poor food combining. So it's a complex of factors, not too many, but a few, to slightly complicate the matter. So it's not just one singular problem. But getting back to the main topic here, so diffusing personal burdens by depersonalizing them, but through the use of the impersonal aspect of God, by replacing them with the impersonal aspect of God, just by our attention, just turning our attention to that. You know, I guess it helps the fact that I've been meditating since the age of 16. Same practice, didn't change practice any. So it makes it very easy while I'm in the bath to turn attention to something better. You know, I'm not enlightened, but there's enough awareness of the impersonal aspect of God built up over decades of meditation, decades of transcendental meditation, that if I choose to, and if the mind and body is settled down enough, I can turn my attention to something better. And I find this also occurs when I study free energy. When I'm on the internet and I'm studying free energy, the same thing happens. I literally depersonalize the personal burdens. The personal burden, I carry around all the time because it's a memory. It's a fact of life. You know, it happened. It can't be just... Death is the only way to wipe it out. And even then, it doesn't wipe it out, because the soul may choose to share that memory, certain memories, with the next incarnation. So then you're burdened with the memory from the past you can't account for, and the soul is giving you a burden because there's a lesson there or something, you know, to get past, to learn, to challenge the next incarnation. Hey, come on, overcome this. I need you to overcome this. So I have a cleaner slate. So the soul has a cleaner slate to work with. Or we can acquire it in this lifetime, whichever. It's there. And you can distract yourself, but that's temporary, right? And the impersonal aspect of God is the best distraction of all, because it works the best. There's no bad side effect. It works. And so Hatha Yoga, which is what I'm doing here in the practice of the bath, and I did as a child when I practiced fasting. It's an aspect of Hatha Yoga. You discipline the body so that you help your mind. You put your mind in a better position so that when you do meditation or you turn your attention to better things when you're in activity, it's easier. You don't have your body dragging you in a direction you don't want to go. So what we eat and what we don't eat, whether we fast or not, and what we bathe in and what we breathe, is about as significant in many respects as what we think about, what we put our attention on, and what we decide not to put our attention on. So it's all very significant. It's all very good and useful. And I guess free energy, when you think about it, it works because it's the depersonalization of the energy that's in a circuit, confined by the parameters of a circuit, because a circuit is a closed system, right? If we just think about a circuit, that's a closed system, and that's a person. But free energy is the energy outside the circuit. So by dwelling on free energy, we're dwelling on the impersonal aspect of energy, the energy that's not confined to a circuit. The impersonal aspect of energy, and that depersonalizes the constraints that we automatically impose upon ourselves when we study a circuit. How does the circuit function? How can I make it function better? And so a free energy device is a device that makes use of the depersonalization of itself. It transcends its limitations. So when we ask ourselves, do animals dream? Some of us, the meditators among us, have gone further and say, do animals transcend? Well, a circuit can. So, why, it can transcend its limitations by connecting with something greater than itself, which normally we'd say is God, but to be technically precise, we say is the impersonal aspect of the relative, of relativity, of existence. In other words, that aspect of existence that lies outside the confines of the subject at hand, whether it's a person or a circuit, whatever the subject is at hand, or the object, if you prefer to call it that, because it makes no difference. Subject, object, they're both the same. When you get down to the study of consciousness, they're both the same. There's no difference. But there's the confines of the structure of that object or that subject, which is the person of that object-subject. And when you depersonalize that subject-object, it's because you've transcended it and gone to the impersonal aspect of existence that permeates it, lies outside of it, lies inside of it, lies beyond its existence in time, it's prior to its existence in time. All the boundaries that our mind imposes on the existence of a subject or an object, if they are transcended, then we depersonalize that subject-object by using the impersonal aspect, by going beyond the aspect of existence which is outside the confines of that subject-object. It's an uncanny idea. And of course the transcendentalists in the 1800s, such as Ralph Waldo Emerson, they all tried to subscribe to that ideology without having necessarily a technique of meditation, let's say, to contact that. So the bath helps because it's helping the body structure its awareness, because the body has its own consciousness too, and the body's consciousness is the subconscious, the subliminal aspect of the mind. So when we put our attention, our conscious attention, on the mantra during meditation and dive into the subconscious, we're diving into the body. And when we take the body and immerse it in a bath that's properly posed with the right ingredients, factors, temperature too, temperature is one of them, comfort, whatever's comfortable. In the summertime, it's not going to be a hot bath, right? It's going to be a cool bath. So whatever is right for that time, place, and circumstance. Then we help the body get past its limitations and depersonalize itself so that it's not a burden to itself. And when the body's not a burden to itself, it can't be a burden to the mind. It's like we're a horseman riding the body, and the body's a horse. And we got to take good care of this horsey. Yeah, or it's going to nag us. That nag is nagging us. Because it wants us to do something, or to stop doing something, or to do something differently. Or to keep doing something, the same, because it likes it. More, I want more. This horsey likes this. This bath solution. Oh, it's very good. Oh, I gotta laugh, sorry. One last parting thought. It's a burden for me to watch the movie Gandhi because it doesn't bring up nice memories. It's a burden. Oh God! And I made myself watch it yesterday because I thought I was ready for it. Oh God! That's one memory I don't want to remember. Oh, shit. Just thought I'd bring it up in case you want to know. Fortunately, other memories are so dim I don't have to worry about them too much. But that one is pretty prominent because it's so recent. Oh, God. Phew! The one finger phew. Phew! Not the two finger, not the three finger phew, just the one finger phew. Oh.